Good evening, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Wees, and I'm South African Extreme Overclocker. So tonight I'm going to expand on my G.Skill OC World Cup series of videos that I'm doing for you guys on the basics of how to get cracking in this competition. And tonight I'm going to focus on IGP Binning. So very quickly, what I've got set up here is a let me just open it up here so you guys can see. I've got a Maximus 8 Genie set up with the Cooler Master all-in-one cooler, and that's just running 240 millimeter fans along with the Cooler Master V1200 Platinum power supply. So I'm using a set of Corsair 3600 C16s, so I've got them set up as C16s because my G.Skills died unfortunately tonight. So I'm just going to use these for the binning process that I'm going to go through tonight. I've got 5 CPUs I need to test, and really all I'm doing is I'm going to set them, just set the IGP to 1.3 volts, and then see how far up I can get the multiplier to go, just straight up with the render test, nothing fancy, nothing extreme. So it's really just a quick bin to see which one goes the higher. That will tell me basically where I should be focusing my efforts when it comes to liquid nitrogen. So let's switch over to the BIOS, and I can quickly show you what's happening there. Okay, so let's just get that going. Right, okay, so there we are in the BIOS, and you can see just very straightforward what I've got set up as XMP. Okay, you can see this is a C918 kit, but it should be set at C16 last time I checked. 3600 megahertz, and then as far as the GT is concerned, I have set it to 26 ratio, DRAM voltage 1.35, and then just 1.2 on SA and RO. That's basically what I had set when I was trying to get my other memory to work, but it is dead. And then you can see on the video voltage is just straight 1.3 volts, nothing extreme, nothing fancy, and that's all we're going to change each time we boot. Is we're just going to change that multiplier from 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Basically where it starts artifacting and where it starts crashing is where I determine the limit to be. So it's just a real straightforward process. If you've got multiple CPUs and you're wanting to try and figure out where you're going to spend your efforts and where you think you should waste your nitrogen, this is the method that I follow, at least to give me an indication of where I think I'll get the most value for money out of my liquid nitrogen. This stuff's not cheap, so I try and focus where it's most efficient. Right, so yes, enjoy the stream. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to sign up to all my channels. I got the Facebook page going, Dr. Wees .oc. Then I got the Twitch channel. Obviously, you should be on the Twitch channel already, which is twitch.tv/Dr. Wees_OC. Then we do have a newsletter, which we send out from time to time. Don't stress, we don't spam your emails, your inbox. It's really for when we're just launching a competition or we're announcing winners or something to that effect. That's our main platform where we'd like to communicate with everyone. And okay, so basically you can see here, this is now running the render test at 1300 megahertz. One other thing I just need to highlight straight away is we do have a giveaway on the go at the moment. I think there's only 2 days left to enter that you can find on the Facebook page. And we're giving away a all-in-one cooler and a mouse keyboard set from Cooler Master, who were kind enough to support us to give you guys some goodies. So don't forget to get onto the Facebook page and enter for that. Now, I'm just having a look here. This is going to be quite painful because it's not switching. Oh, it is switching. Okay, never mind. It's switching to the BIOS correctly, and you can see all I'm going to do now is jump up a multiplier. Alright, so just some information for you all. The temperature in the OC lab at the moment is 28 degrees. Humidity is around 60%, if I'm not mistaken. Although inside today it feels like it's at about 100%. It's hot in here today. Alright, so don't forget, if you're wanting to answer any questions, you can drop me a message. And Hound Rave, how's it going? Thanks for joining. I do have the chat open next to us here, so you can drop a message there if you've got any questions or if you want me to test anything in particular for you. Knox Ford, welcome to the channel, my friend. How are you doing? Alright, so there you can see 1350, no problems. So we'll then just reboot now and go back into the bias and up that multiplier one more time and see if we pass. And this is really just a straightforward process that I'm going to do for all 5 CPUs that I've got here today. Hopefully I can find something that does 1450 on air. I think that'll be quite competitive. Alright, so once again, all I'm going to come and do is change it to 28, reboot, and test again. Okay. Okay, and that looks good, and that's running 1400. So what we can do is, yeah, I've got 3 Mark 11 here. Let's just do a sanity check to see is that really 3D stable, and we'll just run one game test for you guys. Hopefully this switches in the LPR. Evening, Mark 0053. How you doing, man? Alright, so I can use the OC panel to get an idea of what my temperature ranges are. So I don't know which camera you guys can see here, but on the OC panel I can switch through to the different modes, which then give me my CPU temperature. And currently we're sitting at 36 degrees, so it's running quite nicely. That frame rate looks scarily low, but I think it's about right for the IGP. So the processor I'm using is the 6700K, and this is mainly just to give some sort of tutorials for the G.Skill OC World Cup. So I got an 8.66 there. If we have a look at sort of like Alex Rowe, who's currently in first place for the 3D Mark 11 benchmarks, he's scoring on GT1 11.19. So at 8.66 it's not too bad. He's got his IGP clocked up to 1800 megahertz, so that's 400 megahertz more than I've currently got, which seems like quite a way away, but I'm guessing LN2 versus air. Who knows? There have been a few guys that have killed their chips taking part in this competition, and I don't plan to be one of them. So I'm not really too concerned about this competition. I'm just going to be modest entry, more about showing everybody how to enter or what to do, and go for it from there. So please feel free, if you've got any questions, I'm here to guide you in any way possible. Wow. My memory's 55, you know what? Okay, overclocking failed. That's always good. So the Genie I'm using is an old workhorse that I've been using since the launch of Skylake. It really has seen better days. And oh yeah, there's a problem there. I put the fan here, but I moved it away earlier when I was trying to get the IGP to work, and I need to put it back. That South Bridge chipset is overheating. Okay, so we're up to now 1450, and immediately, I don't know if you guys can see it on the stream, but if you have a look at the top here, I can already see some sort of like artifacting. So I'm guessing that we're not going to be successful at 1450 at 1.3 volts. Yeah, I can see quite a bit of artifacting. So we go to sensors, and then we just do a render test. I'm going to almost say this is going to crash straight away. Yeah, there we go. So there's your first indication of sort of the air limit or the voltage limit of that. And let's just, for interest's sake, see what happens if we, I don't know if we can do this. Let's just go up to, say, 3.5. Looks pretty dodgy still. I'm going to say that that's not going to work. Okay. Okay, so it looks like we can do 1450-ish at about 1.35 volts, but we're going to leave it at 1400, 1.3 volts, and that's the benchmark. That's my sort of binning method. So I'll go ahead and just write that in the book. So at 1.3 IGP, we managed to get a 28 multiplier, which is 1400. And you just write that in the book, and then you move on to the next CPU. And that's exactly what we'll do. So first thing I want to do is I just want to go and put that IGP back to a reasonable level. And these buttons won't work in that mode. See, the screen doesn't update when I hit the reset button. Okay. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to set this back to 726. F10 it, switch the machine off, and then I'm going to switch out the CPU. Move on to test the next one. So it's 105 done, a few more to go. So with the Maximus 8, one of the important things to remember is that by default, when you enable the LN2 mode button or jumper, your IGP is automatically disabled. So there is a special BIOS available that enables LN2 mode type voltages and settings with the IGP enabled. Now, I would suggest, and I give you that advice with absolute caution, that do not use that BIOS if you're running on air or if you plan to run some crazy voltages through your CPU. The IGP is quite good at killing the chip when you are pushing too much PLL voltage, for instance. So just with a word of caution, if you do use that special BIOS that's been released for unlock voltage on the IGP. Right, so let me go and change the view. Maybe you can see better what's going on. So all I'm doing now is one chip out, next chip in, and away you go. And you'll notice I'm not even going to be doing anything fancy with sort of thermal paste. It's really just to get a basic indication of which are the better or the worst chips out of the lot. Okay, a bit of thermal paste there on the core. Put the lid in. Okay, it doesn't feel like there's enough thermal paste there. You know, we feel a little bit of resistance. There we go. Now, because I'm planning on binning 5 chips tonight, I'm only using 2 screws on the cooler. Really, in a normal environment, this would not be recommended. Always keep an eye on your temperatures as well when doing rapid sort of binning like this. Doesn't take much to kill a chip. Nobody likes dead hardware. Okay. And ready for chip number 2. Okay, that's right. Okay, and again, because I got it in 2 mode disabled, my Batmobile is not working. You'll see from time to time I forget. Maybe I should donate a t-shirt to somebody every time I forget. You guys can be the policeman. So for those of you that are watching the stream on Saturday, you'll remember that the session ended abruptly with the 00 postcode. Well, I can happily report that, as I suspected, there was condensation on the board, and the CPU is fine. So that's all back up and running and tested. Always nice to report back good stories. Okay, so now what's happening is I'm getting 55 on the postcode. So in other words, this IMC is not a great one if it can't run what I was running before, XMP. So let's just get back into bias. And maybe what we'll do is let's push a little SA voltage and see if it helps. Okay, so let me change back to this one. You can see what's going on in the bias. Alright, so we're getting a 55 postcode. The first thing I'm going to try and do is just maybe up the SA voltage. Oh, wrong one. Right one, sorry. And see if that then passes the memory test. Yeah, so that's my posting. Oh yeah, you know, Mark, it's not so much about having the fan on to improve the IGP. This board here, what I've got is I don't have the if you have a look at the fan here, I don't know if you can really see it. I'll make it bigger now, but I don't have the actual stock cooler on there, so I don't have the big heatsink that would normally the board would normally ship with. What I've got on there is got like a little aftermarket heatsink, which is a lot smaller than the one that you'd normally get with the board. And the only reason for that is really with the nitrogen and the condensation. I don't want a big surface area. I want a small surface area so that condensation doesn't form underneath it. the downside to that is now when I am testing on air, I do have a problem with it overheating, so I have to put a fan onto it. Okay, I don't want to try and pronounce your name, but how are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Alright, so this is CPU number 2. This is my worst 6700K. It is the one that I used at the HW Bot World Tour down in Cape Town. Basically, it's out of the batch of 20 CPUs that there were 2 really bad ones at like a 1.3 VID, 1.32 VID. And those are the 2 that Gotti or Vivi and myself used in the finals. And that's the ones that we walked away with. So I don't expect miracles from this, but it might have a magic IGP. So it always pays off to, even though, you know, the chip is bad in one way, it always pays off to just make sure that it's bad another way. I did test the IMC on this processor over the weekend, and it is 150 megahertz less than my best IMC. Schnuba. Right? Yeah, okay. I know I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but yeah. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask. This looks like a nice little information session tonight. So basically, same process that we followed with the first processor is we just test each multiplier and then find the max and off we go. So find me on Facebook and hit me with a voice note there to pronounce your name properly, and I'll make sure I get it right next time. Actually, maybe I can try Google. They've got that on part there, that talk, yeah. Bloody South Africans. Okay, so this should be 1350. I think we can actually up I see it in Turbo V. This option is normally not enabled, so I haven't seen it before. We can essentially just go up here. So let's try that and see if it makes any difference. Right, so we're at 1350. Let's stop that. We can go up one multiplier. Apply it. Try it again. $13.50. It didn't apply. Okay. So it looks like we stuck to doing it the bias method. Unless we have to close CPU Z. Okay. So that didn't apply. By the looks of things. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and restart. Yeah, 55 again. Not liking this chip too much. Ish. 41. And this time it boots. So So even if this chip does have a good IGP, I think it's going to be IMC disabling. Did not look very promising at all. So let's just go manual, XMP, yes. Let's just try 3600 DRAM timing control. Okay, so I had it at 16, 16, 16. I'm not going to fight with that any longer. Okay, 27, 28, and away we go. I don't know if it's EDAR that's battling or if this board is battling. I'm just going to switch out to EDAR. I'm not going to fight with memory, this IMC any longer. So these are 3733 megahertz. I'll just run XMP on those. See what it does. I don't have time to play with 55 and 41 messages, to be honest. Three, 25, maybe. Okay. Okay, let's do this. Let's give the board a quick service. Right, so I think maybe memory slots are dirty. Or this IMC is just really bad. But what we'll do is we'll quickly give it a quick clean. And the way I like to do that is just with some of this blue shop towel. Take your contact cleaner, spray it on the towel, then take your thermal paste applicator and stick it in, and then just basically give those gold fingers a quick rubbing. Otherwise, if this doesn't work, then I'm going to just take the CPU out, and it's failed binning 100%. We're not going to go any further with it. Okay. Looks alright. Unless, of course, this memory is also... I haven't been having much luck with memory lately. It could also just be DOA. Okay. Okay. Enough of the CPU. Let's try one more. Okay, like I did say in the beginning, when I started with this chip, it is the worst 6700K I've got. Absolute worst. But I do test everything at every level. Right, so let's go with our second worst CPU. And if we start hitting the same areas, then I think this motherboard might need to just go in the dishwasher and have a thorough cleaning, and then see if we still have issues. Hey Knox, what's happening, bud? You're bouncing around connections there. What have you got? What are you running at home? What are you running? LTE and 3G, or just LTE and ADSL? Okay, so this was HW World Tour chip. This is now the CPU that I won at Rage last year. Well, I didn't win it. It was a gift from Intel to say thank you for working at the Overclocking booth. If any of you guys remember, we did that booth with NAG, Overclocking workshops. It was at the time my best CPU, but I've since then found much better chips. Okay, so again, yeah, the dishwasher, that's right, yeah. So basically, how this board has been insulated is with Vaseline and with a waterproof paint. Even motherboards are normally just straight up Vaseline. So what happens is over time is you get a little bit of gunk build up in the slots and underneath some chips and all over the place. So from time to time, every couple of weeks or so, what will happen is the board will go into the dishwasher and receive a thorough cleaning. And after the thorough cleaning, just get reinsulated and used again. And surprisingly, it actually does bring some things back to life, and yeah, it works quite well. Just remember to take the battery out before it goes into the dishwasher. Yeah, I'm using the Telkom LTE at home. That's what I'm actually streaming on. The upstream is great. The downstream is also not too bad. The only problem I have is that we don't have any local Twitch servers. So the stream is bouncing via the UK or Ireland. I think it was my best Twitch server. You really need to speak to your connections there, Telkom Internet, and get a local Twitch server. But solve all of our problems. Yeah, so the LTE I'm using here is the Telkom Futurehood, and really it's not that bad. I get 90 meg downstream and just short of 40 meg upstream. It's pretty good. Okay, so getting more 55 areas, so it wasn't the CPU. The board is a bit iffy. Let's try cleaning those slots one more time. Seeing a little bit of residue coming up with the memories. Yeah, so welcome to overclocking. So I plan on using this board on doing the competitive runs on Island 2, but if it keeps acting this way on air, I'd hate to know how it's going to behave when it's cooled with liquid nitrogen. I might need to give a couple of distribution channels a phone call tomorrow to see who's got stock and purchase another board, because this is just not going to cut it, I'll tell you that much. This type of behavior with Island 2 will be disastrous to any sort of session. Yeah, maybe. I think the problem with having a Twitch server is the amount of bandwidth that's required and who pays for all that bandwidth. But I'll tell you what, it would definitely be great for the local scene to have a local channel to really help grow even the gaming and the overclocking and all the creative things that we do on Twitch. But yeah, I can imagine yeah. I should actually have that as a disclaimer in the opening scene or opening screen or something like that. Although what I'm doing now really shouldn't void your warranty. What I do later on definitely does. Okay, I'm tired of playing with this. Let's try something now. So those memories might be damaged. Just go ahead and just try something I know is working. And that would be these HyperX Furies. These are brand new, they haven't been used, so definitely not a problem with them. Looks like I'm going to have to spend a day and just go through testing all my DDR4 memory to see what's working and what's not working. It's quite possible that those other sticks aren't working. I've been pushing them quite hard. Or it could be this motherboard. Yeah. 2.4 volts V-core on air, great start. Yeah, surprisingly, that probably wouldn't even kill your CPU. Intel have built in so many sort of safety measurements now, safety sort of procedures that to just throttle down and be difficult and terribly slow. But it probably wouldn't kill the chip. So what's happening now is that I'm still getting issues with the memory, and I think the RAM slots are just dirty. So I tested 3 kits of memory now. You can't tell me that all 3 are dead, and I know that these Furies, they're definitely not faulty. I've never used them, so if I'm continually getting error messages coming up now, then that definitely means that the board needs to be serviced. A visit to the dishwasher is required. Yeah, so the Furies that I'm using now are the 2666C15 Furies. They are the ones that we used during the Pro OC Cup Season 1. They are built with the AFR RC from Hynix, and they are very good clockers in comparison to sort of like the ES chips and whatnot. They do clock very well. And okay, so I'm not going to win here. Shall we go ahead and just change the board instead of fighting further? And I think I've got an extreme we can use. Yeah. Where's my extreme? Okay. Okay, I'm not going to fight with this any longer. So we're just going to change the board out quickly and continue. It will literally take 5 minutes and we'll be back up and running again. So if I have one criticism of this Cooler Master cooler, it's these things. They just look like they're going to get lost easily. Little grommets just to make sure that you don't over tighten. Okay. Keep going. Otherwise, I'm actually very happy with the Cooler Master all-in-one. Very easy to mount and dismount. Got a really nice little bracket that's got everything, and really it's not overly complicated. Okay, let's just quickly turn that around. Okay. Bugger. Made a mess. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to sit down and test sometime to see how it scales, yeah? The good thing about doing everything on Twitch is that if I forget something, I can always go back and re-watch the videos and see what it did actually achieve and what settings I used. The bad thing about it is it's taken my competitors, the guys that I'm actually competing against. There ain't any secrets anymore. But yeah, sharing is caring. Alright, so first thing I need to do is disable LN2 mode, otherwise the IGP will not work. So don't forget to disable LN2 mode. And I think there's still a very old BIOS on here as well, so I'm not going to run the BDI right now. I'll just run the AFR, I think. I'll just be done with it. Okay, LN2 mode, LN2 mode, LN2 mode, here we go. Okay. IGP, Batmobile, mouse and keyboard. And we need a fan. This fan I'm actually going to put sort of going across the whole board, like so. One thing we must just keep an eye on is the temperature of the VRM. It should be fine, but it might not be. We must just do the field test every now and again. Okay, let's just be silly. Let's just put these back in. Okay, power on. CMOS. Off you go. That's not going to work. Oh, there's somebody a t-shirt. Yeah, for the binning, it will just give them an idea of what my CPUs can do in air. But I broadcast all my benching, so, well, the majority of it anyway. So when I'm doing my best scores, the competitors will be able to see that as well. But yeah, there will be some stuff done offline, I guess. Can't, I don't know. I want to try and do everything online. I want to show you guys everything. Yeah, Bull Shooter's chip turns out to be like a 6.7 HW by Prime or something. Crazy chip for such a lucky find. Or was it another chip? I don't know, but he posted some really good scores. Okay, so first thing we're going to test this is just test XMP. Okay, so XMP works. Okay, and then let's go and put IGP. Cache graphic ratio, we go to 26. And then we'll just put the voltage mode to manual and 1.3. Okay, what version of the BIOS am I running here? 15, so it is a new BIOS, okay. So is it IGP causing the issues? Can't be, shorty. Okay, retry. Yeah. Can't trust the Brits, who can you trust? Yeah, I think I need to spend a little time, another 2 hours or so, and go through all the Blade Twitch servers again to find the better server to use. Maybe with one of the new undersea cables coming online or something like that, we'll get some better responses to somewhere. Okay, so that's 1300. But what's really worrying me is the IMC issues that I'm experiencing. It's very frustrating. Okay, let's try that. Okay, do not set. So the nice thing about doing this horrible sort of binning is that I actually can talk to you guys and make sure that I'm trying to explain things nicely. Please don't be shy to ask questions if I'm going a little fast or not explaining myself enough. This is 7.35. Bit crazy cray. So I was trying to rule that out. It's been a problem. $51. Okay, so that is crashing, I think, on entering windows. Let's just try something. Let's go 1.3 there as well. So I hope you guys watched the season finale of The Walking Dead. Looks like things are taking a bit of a turn in that series, that's for sure. No spoilers here, but holy crap, what an episode. A bit nerve-wracking if you're asking me. Yeah, looks like we've got a Timothy. Good evening, how are you doing? Yeah, no, you won't get any spoilers from me. But I would recommend you watch this, the finale. Good news is that next week the new season of Fear the Walking Dead starts. I'll tide us over until the Walking Dead starts up again. So I'm going to go ahead and say this chip's a pile of rubbish as well. Okay, so I was overvolting a few things there by the looks of things. LN2 mode, LN2 thinking on air. Why is it so low? There we go, 1350. Definitely took time to step up there, right? Like it was unsure of something. The temperature's quite high. What's our voltages? Yeah, not bad. 1.2 memory, 1866. After all, let's keep trying. So what other interesting things have been happening lately? Alright, another series that was on last night was Quantico, episode 16 I think it is. I'm still not sure about that series. I was intrigued at first, but it seems to be just being a bit long-winded. I don't know, what are your theories? While we wait for things to boot. Okay, so I don't know if you saw that, but when we opened up GPU-Z, there's definitely a couple of pixels that were blue that were meant to be red. So without even clicking this, I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to fail. Ha! Here you can see a little bit there and a little bit there. So I'd say 1350 was the max for this IGP. And this one was the 1248 range. And remember, we're testing here for 1.3 volts, so it will probably run 1400 fine if I just increase the voltage one notch to say 1350. Well, not quite fine, but close enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and swap the chip out again. Geez, who's in the yellow? I can't read your name there. Let's just highlight that. Insanity. What's that? Droid Insanity. Good evening. How you doing? That's right. Yeah, we did the world tour in Cape Town 2 weeks ago now. 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. And I was lucky enough just to edge in front of VIII in the final for XTU. It's a really interesting competition format. I actually quite like it, but I also don't like it. The vetoing thing caught me off guard. I honestly thought you would be able to veto until you got to like the last benchmark, but that's not how it works. How it works is you've got 6 benchmarks in the kitty, in the pool, and the first one to come out of the hat, one comes out of the hat, and basically you can choose whether to accept that benchmark or to veto it. Now you only get one veto, so like for instance the final in Cape Town, where I really was not interested in running reference clock, so I vetoed that one, which means the next one that came out of the hat, which was the XTU, gave VIII the option to either veto it or to select it, and well, he ended up selecting it. But I really wasn't interested in running XTU. It's not one of my favorite benchmarks, but that's just the way it works. So in that way, it's like really quite nerve-wracking as into how you can select the benchmark. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able, for that type of competition, you've got to be able to adapt and be able to be skilled in all the classes, all the different benchmarks. And in 30 minutes is not a lot of time, and if you don't have the right equipment, for instance, the CPU pod I was using had a distinct advantage over the one that Gotti was using for VIII because of the speed at which I can cool compared to what he could cool. So on the MSI motherboards, for instance, we have a small, or we had, I believe it's been resolved now, we had an issue with the cold boot bug. So we'd need to run the chips at minus 180 degrees, 185, but every time we crashed, we'd have to warm back up to minus 60 in order to boot the system. And that was a major challenge for VIII, and that's one of the reasons why he struggled as much as he did. He was having a few issues. So a lot of it comes down to skill and to luck. And sometimes things just don't go your way, and sometimes they do. It's an interesting competition, that's for sure. I'd highly recommend all you guys to take part in the amateur series at a gaming event coming your way soon. It's quite a good way and easy way to win some great equipment. If you need more information about that, I will be posting those things onto my newsletter when they come up. So, for instance, I think the next one in South Africa would be the Rage event in Joburg. So, I don't think it will be a world tour event, but there will for sure be workshops again, and a chance for you to win some great hardware. And you can almost guarantee that it's going to be on XTU. So there's another reason for you to sign up to my newsletter, because what I'll do is 2 weeks before the event, I'll actually give some lessons on what to do. And for those of you who watch my channel, you would probably have a distinct advantage over everybody that didn't watch my channel. But yeah, I'm sure that will be allowed. What was that noise? Okay. Okay, so for everyone that's just tuned in, the mission for tonight is just to test the IGPs to see what the maximum frequency I can run it on air or on the all-in-one cooler, so that when I decide to do the video on how to clock the IGP on LN2, potentially using the best one I've got instead of wasting time on a lesser quality one. And so far I've managed to test 3 chips And I'm on to the fourth now. So this chip I'm testing now is my Frontosa RMA chip. And I almost made a mistake there by mixing up two chips. Let's just check the serial number of this one. 224. That's the raised chip, that's right, yeah. A bit shaky. I'm going to go ahead and say 1350. Let's try this. A little artifacty. I wouldn't say that's a pass. And what do we get on the first chip? We ran at 1400. We got 8.6. We've got one more chip to test, or at least one more 6700K to test, and that's my 750 bloody euro chip from Case King. And it's the one chip I really do not want to be good at IGP at all. Other than that, I got a bunch of R3s and R5s to test, but those are all locked multipliers. Then I'll be testing those only with LN2, not with air. Uh, 8.7, so I finished. The higher memory clock would have given me a higher score there. Okay, because the last one ran at 3600, this is 3700. I changed to EDAR just because I thought the VDAR was faulty, but it's actually fine. Okay, let's go ahead and boost that up, see what happens. I don't think it's applying in Windows. No. Let's test the last chip, shall we? Let's do it. And you know what I actually should do is retest that one that we abandoned early, thinking it was the IMC that was the problem, where I think it was just the board. The board is damaged. I really don't want this chip to be the best chip. Like I said, 750 euros. It's a 6.5 chip. You can bench 3D 6.5 all day with it. The IMC was not the best IMC, and I hope the graphics aren't the best graphics. The reason why I say that is because I feel that overclocking the IGP is like risky business. It's not something. High clocks on the IGP with high voltages can kill the chip. I think a lot of guys have been complaining that they've killed some of their chips, and I really don't want to have to risk, and I don't think I will risk a 750 euro chip on this competition. The return on investment, the risk versus reward and return on investment just doesn't add up. Sure, $10,000 is a lot of money, but 750 euros for South African is a buttload of cash, man. Yeah, between DDR3 and DDR4, the difference is massive. DDR4 really has a lot of gains on the thirds. DDR3, your primaries and your secondary timings are where you get the most amount of gain from. On DDR4, you really need to concentrate on those thirds. And obviously the improvement, well, it's great. I mean, there's a reason why we moved from older technology to new technology. It just opens up all the bandwidth and all the speeds and whatnot. Are you located in the southern tip of Africa? Whereabout are you from? Yeah. So there you can see that's clearly rendering 1400, not an issue. Whereas the last chip was rendering 1400 with a little bit of shaky. Okay, well, if you're from Cape Town, I've got and you're still busy on DDR3, I've got some fairly good DDR3 kits still lying around. If you're looking to test and to play with some, just drop me a message and we can chat. Yeah, also, what motherboard you got, that also plays a big role. It's no good playing with the best PSCs in the world, or good PSCs if you don't have the right board to actually take advantage of them. So I don't think this is going to run too well. There's a few places where you can see some pixels out of place. Let's have a look. Okay, and then we go and crashed. So that looks probably be good for like 1420. That's not a bad IMC. So let's go ahead and have a look if we can get this up a bit. You know, we forgot to change the ratio back. Going backwards, but not going up. So although it says 1400 there, I'm pretty sure that's actually 1428, because if you look at how bumpy it is. Yeah, the Z97 Genie is a good option. Great little board. In fact, I think I've still got one underneath the desk here somewhere. Or did I sell it? I'm sure I've still got one somewhere around here. Great little board, that. Yeah, Knoxford, always keen to be involved in things in the local community, my friend. If it comes to fruition, you just let me know, get in contact with me, and a little bit of warning would be cool, and then maybe I can get someone to help with some LN2 costs and whatnot. But yeah, definitely, I find it's a great way also to promote my Twitch channels and stuff like that, to do live events and let people know that there is South Africans doing these weird and funny things, man. Okay, so like I feared, so far my best chip has been my most expensive chip. So it's really starting to look like I don't want to take this competition too seriously, because it means putting things at risk I don't want to put at risk. But then again, why buy it if you're not going to use it? But I didn't want to use it for IGP. Such a conundrum, really. Yeah, that 4790K, you're really going to want to try and delid that. And just get in touch with me when you're ready to do that. I do have a dealer die mate from Case King to do the job properly, especially if you're playing on all-in-one cooler and whatnot. It's definitely going to make your life better to be able to replace that thermal paste for something that's a little bit more robust, I should say. The other thing is, if you are also looking for thermal paste, I do import the GC 3 Extreme, although I've only got about 5 tubs of that left. I will be bringing in thermal Grizzly from June. So when I go through the Computex, I want to bring back about 40 tubes of that. I'm going to try and get it for about 150 bucks a tube. At the moment it's looking like €4 a tube, and I'm not happy with that. It's a bit expensive for South Africa. So there might be smaller quantities in the tube, but definitely looking to bring some in. Okay, so what we've got back in the block now is the chip that we were using, the Genie, that was giving endless hassles with the memory controller. And we're just going to try it again now on the Extreme. And then that is the binning done for the day. I can hang up my OC shoes for the night and go watch the last half of the latest Survivor episode. So if you're still playing Z97, I've got, looks like 2 chips here still as well. That's it. I've got an anniversary edition like you're playing with, and this is a 3240 Pentium used for G.Skill OC World Cup qualifiers last year. Okay. Yeah, you can see that VID 1.312. Terrible. All right. Yeah, so on 2 motherboards it's at the same sort of limit, because that's crashed booting into Windows. So that one definitely not a goodie. What we can do is just go backwards down the multiplier to see where it kicks in. So if any of you guys have got a 6700K lying around at home, or in your main machine, and you want to just test to see how far your IGP will clock, if you can do 1400 on air with it, drop me a message. I might be interested in buying it from you. Okay, so this IGP maxes out at 1350. 1050, 1350. Yeah, that's definitely crashing loading Windows with that multiplier. The worst CPU retains its worst CPU status. Okay, so now I'm done with all my 6700Ks. What I want to quickly try, which I haven't done before, is overclocking, say, the 6700, the non-K processor. And I've also got a 6500 i5 here, also non-K, which I can test in a couple of R3s. But I'm not too sure if you can overclock the graphics controller. I've never tried, so just quickly just boot it up and have a look. Let's just get some thermal paste on there. So basically I'm just smearing a little bit of thermal paste on. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be fresh, Just a little something. Hey Hiwa, how's it going, man? I was just explaining to these guys that how you given us benchmarks that can kill our IGPs for us. So let's see how this fancy Core i7 performs. So it looks like the same sort of settings. Okay, so if it's a non-K processor, you link to a maximum multiplier of 23, which means you'll have to base clock up for the remainder. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to test it on nitrogen. I won't be able to test it on air. Because it's the same problem now. When you up the base clock, it locks the multiplier, and so it runs at the maximum multiplier, which means the processor will be running at a higher frequency, fixed higher frequency. I wonder if there's going to be a way to test this on air. Oh, that looks like it broke. I suppose a good indication would be if it can't run the stock maximum, then it won't run anything more than that. Let's just try something else. Hey Soko, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. So just to recap on what's happening here for everybody that's just joined the chat or joined the channel. Basically what I'm doing is I'm going through all of my 6700K processors to determine sort of what I'm dealing with just on air. So I've set 1.3 volts on the IGP, and I've just basically been going up a multiplier until it sort of crashes out on the GPU-Z stress test. Yeah, so I'm not even testing 3D really. I'm just testing the GPU-Z tests, and from there I should be able to determine whether it's worth going to LN2 or not, and then also whether I'm going to risk my best CPUs or not. So unfortunately what it turns out is that the CPUs I'm willing to kill are the worst CPUs, IGP, as far as IGP is concerned. So they do about 1350 on air, whereas my best does 1450 on air. And the 1450 chip was my 750 euro Case King chip that does 6.5 3D, and I don't think I'm going to risk that chip. So the decision is really from here is, do I go and buy more chips to bin and take part in this competition, or do I just continue as I have continued to make a couple of videos for you guys, using my worst chips, killing one or two along the way makes no difference. And I think that might just be the course of action I take. So I'll take that worst chip that I've got, which only did 1300, 1350 at 1.3 volts, and we'll crank it under LN2, and we'll push a couple of voltages and see where it actually dies, so that you guys don't make the same mistakes at home. That should be quite a lot of fun. Yes. Okay, so it's 1300 on the IGP. Yeah, I see the problem is that CPU memory is fine. Yeah, so I definitely think I'm going to take the worst chip, or maybe the worst two chips, and try two different methods, and yeah, kill them online or on the stream. I think it'll be a lot of fun. The one guy who's been trying to qualify already has basically said he's killed 3 chips. So let's see if I can kill 2 at least. Okay, I'm not going to continue at all with this R7. I think I'll need to use nitrogen to properly test that one, but I'm not gonna bother. I think with the locked multiplier on the IGP, it's going to be fairly difficult to push it. In comparison, maybe what I'll do is I'll do one session with a locked processor just with nitrogen, just to see how it handles. I'll do one of the R3s maybe. I've already got those deleted, so it'll be a lot easier. But for the sake of sanity, I'm going to quickly test the R5. I do think we'll be at a disadvantage though versus an R7, but just for shits and giggles, for the sake of doing it, we'll do it quickly. Huh, it's got 21 max, so it's even worse than the R7. Yeah. Alright, well, you know what, I'm not going to bother. It's not going to cut the cheese. You're going to need to use a K processor for IGP. I do have a 6600K. I tested it at just 1450 on the IGP as well on 1.3 volts. Problem being, it's the engineering sample, so I cannot use that for the qualifier. That one will just have to stay as out of the loop. Alright, oh gee, excuse me, look at the yawns. I think it is coming up on that time to say thanks for watching, and until next time, happy benching. So, just to recap, the binning this evening ended with 2 good chips being 1400 plus at 1.3 volts on the IGP, and 3 chips 1350 and 1300. Interesting mix, and it basically confirmed what I was worried about, being that my best chips would be the ones that had the best IGPs. So how many CPUs do I have at the moment? 6700K, I have got 6. I've got one 6700, one 6500, i5 6500. I've got 3 Core i3 6320s and 2 6100s, 6600. Yeah, I've got a few. Okay. And I've also got a 6300 Core i3. But if you're wanting to know the 6700Ks, I've got 6 at the moment in my collection. The reason why I've got so many, you might ask. Well, no 2 pieces of silicone are made the same. And when the 6700K was first released, I bought 3 straight away that were from a semi-good batch, and I hung on to some of those. And then last year at Rage, I got given a 6700K as thank you from Intel for helping on the stand. That one turned out to be quite nice. I'll just hang on to that one. Then obviously I won a 6700K now when I was down in Cape Town for the HWBot World Tour, and that one actually is quite nice. And then there's the Case King CPU, which is a €750 CPU. Now the advantage of that one is the reason why you pay €750 is because it's guaranteed to do what they say it will do. And well, you can take the risk of going to the retail outlets and buying a chip and testing it and selling it on Carbonite or whatever the case might be. But you know how these guys like to lowball, and you lose money every time. So it looks like if Case can keep binning these chips, the way to go is just to save up and pay the premium for the good chip. The risk with that is it's €750. And this isn't even the best chip. The best chip went for €2,000. Now the risk of buying an expensive chip is that yes, it will perform the way you want it to perform, but it costs a lot of money. It costs 4 times what a normal chip would cost. So the risks associated with that are quite high. You've got to make sure that you're using the chip for a qualifier or for a score that's guaranteeing you some sort of return. And let me tell you, those don't come by that often. So yeah, it's a real funny game we play, this overclocking story. And which one am I think these ones were. Yeah. Alright, so I think that's just about that. Thanks for stopping past and tuning in. I'm going to just remind everyone again, don't forget to go to the Facebook page and enter the lucky draw, the giveaway that we've got going on. We've got a really nice all-in-one cooler from Cooler Master and a mouse and keyboard set. I'll actually show you, I've got the goodies here. So I've got a nice Devastator mouse and keyboard and a really cool all-in-one. So go make sure that you sign up for that giveaway. I think it finishes in a day or two, I think on Wednesday. And then don't forget to subscribe to my Twitch channel that you're watching at the moment. You can catch me on YouTube with all the replays and then also the debrief from the sessions each day. And yeah, so we'll be back later in the week. I don't think tomorrow because I need to go and do some work at FMB in the evening. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I am in training all day. So I don't know how cased I'm going to be after that, but I'm going to try and bring a session on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, IGP killing session. So that will be probably Wednesday, IGP on cold, where we will try and kill it. Then Thursday, I think what we'll do is the 980 Ti with a Core i7 non-K processor. And the purpose behind that session is going to be purely to set a baseline as to the performance you can expect from the Intel range. So we'll start with the 6700, and then we'll do the 6500, and then we'll do the 6320. And the idea was to get what sort of performance gains you get from each series of processors. So you can sort of gauge as to if I'm running an i3, if I upgrade to an i5, how much frame rate can I expect to gain, and that type of stuff. So it's really just consumer-based type testing that I'll do, and it's all going to be on the stream as well, and then we'll do a nice little article after the fact. So stay tuned for that. But otherwise, if you've got any questions, please feel free to post me a direct message on Twitter or on Instagram or on Facebook, and I'll try and get in touch or get all the questions answered in due course. But anyway, I think that wraps that up. So guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, happy benching.